You guys, first people I've ever heard say this, are incorporating your AI into your your larger system of record.
You want to discover across the enterprise what is happening. Okay. And it could be running, for example, in one of the hyperscalers, Microsoft, Azure, Google. It could be running in ServiceNow or Salesforce or any of the other vendors. So you want to discover what's happening. Typically, this is through observability and other platforms. You want to monitor. And then you want to take action. So you'll have thresholds, guardrails. I actually built an AI steward team. Think of them as just like there are cybersecurity risk professionals, AI risk professionals.
Okay.
So who sit between product and between legal risk, etc. Who would then look at these and take remedial actions. A minor problem, it could be like just report it and it goes through a change process. If it's a major problem, you might decommission the agent, send it back to school, so to speak.
Right.
So that it gets evaluated and trained and brought back. And that all requires coordination across many different teams. AI is a cross-functional team sport. So how do you bring everybody into one place? They're looking at a single system of record from which they can act.
So robots is the game changer for me, because we're going to be able to take robots assisting and augmenting humans and orchestrating that in an orchestration layer, the agentic orchestration. And so like we could take a robot and a group of robots, for example, and onboard those automatically, dynamically create an agent that orchestrates all those robots, coordinates activities with humans. So when you dispatch a robot to go check on a gauge because it might be getting too hot, the robot goes, takes a picture of it. The AI behind that analyzes that gauge. By the way, robots are the 3Ds, dangerous, dirty, and dull. You know, those should be doing those types of activities, right, and not necessarily replacing humans, but augmenting human activities that are dangerous and dirty and dull. So when you dispatch this robot, it takes a picture, it says, oh, it's way over pressure. It dispatches another robot, creates a work order, and it goes and it turns the emergency shutoff valve. And then that creates a work order for the human. And then the human can get in the picture when it's safe for the human to get involved. That is a small use case of how this is going to expand to pretty much everything you deal with.
The CX buzzword I never want to hear again is hyper-personalization. I feel like that's been overkill. People have been talking about it for probably a decade now. We're pretty much no longer in that era. Like not every single individual customer should be treated as a unique individual customer. Everyone has some context that agentic AI could relate to, that the organization could benefit from and try to serve. And it'll get the job done quicker, faster, and customers would be more satisfied as well.
The industry trope has always been, you have to separate signal from noise. The real issue is how do you separate signal from signal? How do you do it?
And a lot of times you'll see that marketers are using what they hear the buzzwords of AI and everything. But that to me is not the signal. I think in B2B tech, it doesn't matter if it's SMB, mid-market, or enterprise, there's an overemphasis of how much content do we need to give to those different buyers at their different points of their journey. I don't think that's ever been the most efficient way to educate your prospect or even your customer to do an expansion of other products that they're already utilizing with you. But are you aware of that? You could be more efficient if you also add on this other app or if you do this extension. It's really more of understanding their needs better so that you give them that just critical information at that moment in order for them to make a decision.
On a weekly frequency, certainly monthly, I find myself in front of boards. And I've been in tech for 30 years. I didn't have the open access to CEO and their extended leadership. And then certainly boards. I didn't have that for cloud. I didn't have that for mobile or social or IoT or data revolution, quantum, distributed ledgers, you name all the new ingredients, new technology ingredients last 20 years. They were mostly IT conversations, CTO, CIO, CDO. And right now, more than 60% of CIOs report directly to CEO. 2 years ago, that number was like in the low 50s. So we've seen almost a 15-point shift because I believe that when CEOs are in front of boards and the board members are asking about what's all this AI stuff all about, if the CEO is not well-versed, explaining machine learning, computer visioning, smart robotics, natural language processing, generative, agentic, all these derivative sciences under this umbrella we call AI, then he or she would feel uncomfortable. And so now they're closer to the technology leaders within the enterprise, 1 degree separation, learning along the way. So the biggest shift for me is my audience are the most influential, biggest decision makers at companies, regardless of size, regardless of geography.
I actually took a couple months to build some agents to collect information. I call it Charles because I think ChatGPT is stupid. I built Charles based on a series of prompts and instructions on to collect information that I need. And every day and every week I get information from Charles. I get data points, I get insights, I get research, I get pointing to things that are new. And what I do is I process all that information, I distill that into a monthly report that hopefully will be between 6 and 8 pages when I get done. I'm trying to build a community for the people who receive this report. This to me is the most important part. It's not about writing or distilling information. It's about it's a way to actually say, this is what we're trying to do. The report, by the way, is not a report as much as a conversation framework. And the conversation framework is really what the report is about. It's like, I give you the key talking points for the topics of the day and the questions that should be answered. The idea of this whole thing is to create not another report, but a tool that board and executives can use to have better conversations.
Is privacy worse off now, or is AI actually making privacy better off?
Privacy is way worse off. OpenAI announced their browser, Atlas, Perplexity as a browser. I want to say Opera is an AI browser, or agentic browsers is generally what they're going for. So there's a small wave of like privacy browsers for a bit. Now it's kind of going into a little bit more agentic browsers. And I reckon anybody to go to OpenAI or Perplexity or any of these agentic browsers, like privacy policies, probably just throw it in an LLM and say, what are the privacy implications of using this browser? And it's next level wild. Like, it's nice to think that the browser is going to be smart for you, but that thing can see everything you do in your browser. Already Google could probably see it in Chrome, but this is like next level invasion, because it also can see like the passwords you're typing and every input box you put and all that kind of stuff. At least Google can only track like where you're visiting and things along those lines. So you don't know what actually is being sent and how that information is being used. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely a privacy nightmare.